Charles, we'll start off with you as per usual. What's your Nerd Week looking like?
My Nerd Week has been fantastic. So with the release, soon to be released, maybe not so soon, of Legion, the Star Wars Legion, I mentioned it on our last episode, I've decided I'm going to grab this system and make it my own, really own it, and do some YouTube content for it. So I've been setting that up, including all the Facebook groups and stuff that goes with it, and it's been going pretty well. So I made my first video. My second video was uploading, but I had to cancel that upload because it was taking 12 hours to upload, and my internet was needed for other things, specifically talking to you guys. Yeah,
we're pretty important.
I know, right? Most important.
I'd even say we're more important than Star Wars.
Oh. Wow, that's a big goal. We'll leave that there.
I mean, I don't think I even believe that.
What would Carrie Fisher say about that?
Yeah, not much. She's pretty quiet these days. Anyway, so what I'm doing at the moment is developing stuff to proxy the game. So we're not expecting it until 2018, but I want to play it before then, at least in a demo form. So I'm stolen all of their cards and stuff off the internet of pictures that people have taken while they're getting demos at Gen Con. And
this will be used as proof in a court case one day, Charles.
I know, right? It's all over Facebook anyway. They've got me so good.
Yeah.
So I've printed it all out. I've made up cards. I've put them in sleeves. It's actually going really well. And I'm going to use Imperial Assault miniatures, which are a little smaller, but whatever. And demo hopefully a game this Sunday and record it and chuck it up there. And it will be a little bit different. And no one else is really doing it. So
this is going to be like bootleg Star Wars Legion.
Yeah, correct. It's like, that you get in a weird shop in Thailand and you go upstairs and everyone's staring at you and there's a goat. That's what I'm looking for, but with Star Wars.
Star Wars miniatures. Yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah. Anyway, I went into my local gaming store and potentially he's interested in looking at a bit of sponsorship for my YouTube channel as well, and supporting me and kind of having me affiliated with the store. So I won't talk too much about that because it's still in negotiations, but that's very exciting for me. So
demand $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what startup YouTubers are worth nowadays, right?
Yep,
just $1 million off as soon as you make the account, I'm pretty sure.
They're pretty rare, so I expect to make millions within a week.
Excellent. Well, fair. We'll put a link to that in the doobly-doo, so you should go check out Charles's channel and see him and hear him talk more about Star Wars, if that's why you come to the podcast. If you usually tune out here because the Star Wars bit ends, you can go get more of it on Charles's channel.
That's it.
To be honest, that's like a recurring nightmare I have, like trapped in a room with Charles talking to me about Star Wars tabletop gaming.
I can make that happen if that's something that excites you. Yep.
Is that why?
Not. I said recurring nightmare.
Is that why neither of you ever fly in the same aircraft? Because I thought it was, in case the aircraft goes down, then we can't do the podcast. But it turns out that it's because you don't want to be trapped next to Charles on a plane while he talks about Star Wars. She's
so concerned. Yeah, and I would. That is all I'd talk about. Now that I know this, I'm gonna set up a situation where it's just you and me and Star Wars, and you have nowhere to go.
No, please don't.
It's gonna be good.
I live an exciting dream-filled life because last night I had a dream where I read all 7 books of Harry Potter, and that was the dream.
You are out of control. You need to slow the fuck down, Catherine.
I know. Woo, my brain's going crazy.
But all 7, how quickly? That's the question.
Well, Catherine's a pretty fast reader,
right?
It wasn't a competitive reading scenario, and I was like, no, I got it.
Competitive Harry Potter reading.
Now that I'd watch.
Yeah.
And my Star Wars is boring? Come on.
I woke up and I was like, I'm pretty sure I would have won that competition though.
But also that you're super lame? Was that your first thought? That should have been your first thought.
My first thought was, I wish I'd won.
Okay, screw the Star Wars YouTube channel. Let's see if the Game Shop wants to sponsor this new YouTube channel idea I have where we have competitive Harry Potter reading.
Amazing. Just people sitting there reading. All right, we have to move on.
Yeah,
Daniel.
Got distracted.
Hit us with your nerd week.
My nerd week, I got a Switch recently. I can't remember if I mentioned that on the podcast. Been playing Breath of the Wild. I think Charles wrote a piece about how the Switch was so great and he sold his PlayStation to get a Switch. Mm-hmm. So I followed suit.
He's lame.
My beautiful girlfriend bought me a Nintendo Switch. She went and bought a bunch of clothes for herself and came back with a Nintendo Switch. And
Just to check though, you didn't sell your PlayStation for it?
No, we've still got our Xbox.
Thank God.
Because we're purists. And that's right, we're in the Microsoft ecosystem. And also, so we've been playing Breath of the Wild, and also ended up getting Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which is made by Ubisoft. And it's... The Rabbids are kind of like proto-minions. I think they're on the scene around the Rayman era or some of the more recent Rayman games. But they've got that kind of, we're weird and, we cause chaos. But it's really interesting to see the merger of those two IPs.
Properties.
When I first saw it, I was super dubious. I'm like, I don't know what they think they're doing, but I'm going to avoid that. Give it a wide berth. What do you think? Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, I've beaten sort of the first mini-boss or the first boss, unlocked the skill trees. It's essentially sort of an XCOM for kids. Okay. So if you played any of those turn-based isometric games, it's essentially that. So cover is really important, flanking your enemies, choosing your weapons, getting higher ground, that kind of stuff. And so it's quite tactical, and you have your 3-person team and you sort of choose their loadout or sub someone out for someone else if you're coming up against certain enemies. So there is a layer of tactics there that I was surprised at. These games often have those layers. I just wasn't expecting it out of a Rabbids Mario game.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
But it was a pleasant surprise?
Yeah, definitely. So, some of the humor misses for me. I think it's aimed at sort of a generation lower or like a couple of years lower. But even just seeing sort of the Mario characters and some of the jokes do get me. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, that was fun. I'm going to be ashamed if anyone saw me laugh at that. But pleasantly surprised and really enjoying it. I'm definitely going to put some more time into that.
Cool.
And Catherine.
Yeah, so I have been playing, I kind of got the urge to play a little card game. So I saw one with some good reviews. I think I sent it to you guys, actually, called Miracle Merchant.
No, you didn't.
It's really simple.
You didn't say
I did. It was part of those screenshots I sent about new games coming out. It's fine. You just don't pay attention to me.
Clearly not.
So it's just an iPad card game. You have to match 4 different cards with different colors. There's kind of a little fantasy skin over it. It's very much casual gaming, but I've kind of really enjoyed it. There's very set limits to, you only get dealt a certain number of cards in a session, and then you have to start a new one. So you can easily play it for kind of 5 minutes to maybe an hour. I don't know. I just felt like I needed a game that was a bit more of that in my life.
But like a card game? So the question is, why wouldn't you play Hearthstone? Or were you not looking for something that serious?
No, because I'm not allowed anything WoW-related, Charles. We've been over this.
Nothing in the Blizzard world.
I see the UI, and I'm like, maybe I'll just start it back up. So no Hearthstone for me.
Okay.
What about, how would you feel about
really
Gwent, though? I guess Gwent you can't get on iPad.
Yeah. I just stay away from the Blizz, the way I tempt fate. And then I started playing a really kind of strange but awesome series of games called the Rusty Lake series. So there's like Rusty Lake Hotel, which was the one I started with, and then Rusty Lake Roots. They're not, I guess they're probably technically point and clicks, but they're not, that Monkey Island or King's Quest kind of format. They're almost just like, you'll have a little scene and you'll have to solve some puzzles, kind of imagine, there's all these red levers and you don't know, you have to press in a certain order, and there's clues hidden around the room, and they're all very different. Each of them takes, anywhere from between 5 minutes to maybe 20 minutes. But it's this really cool kind of ecosystem of games. They only have 2 that you pay for. The rest are all free. And there are clues within them. There are points. There's this whole kind of hidden world. And the forums have rabid Rusty Lake fans that analyze every tiny clue, which I always really like. I always really like finding a community. I haven't gone that deep into it yet, but I played all the way through Rusty Lake Hotel and kind of got there's stars, and I think I got 30 out of 40, so I didn't find everything. And then I started to look deeper and be like, oh, how did I miss that bit? And realized that to get a perfect playthrough, it's very intricate. You have to do things in a very particular order. You can't just go into rooms randomly like I did. You've got to do this and then this. and it's really dark, which I enjoy. So like we're talking like people hanging from trees, blood, like, you know, ghost ravens stalking you. Like
Ooh.
it's a really dark, creepy game that's just fun little puzzles that have a bit of depth, and there's a really cool overarching story about Rusty Lake and all the weird stuff that goes on there. But it's just got it's just that perfect blend of puzzle and narrative for me, but also pretty casual. Like Rusty Lake Roots has, I think, 35 different levels. So it was very much I could pick it up and like solve one or two and then be like, cool, I've had my gaming session. I'll go back to writing now. Versus, you know, kind of a proper long gaming jam. So yeah, I'm just really enjoying that. I haven't played a point and click in a while, but it's one of my favorite genres. So that was really good. I really like finding a new kind of gaming community.
It's a very clever find for you. How did you stumble across this one?
Honestly, I just started looking up best point and clicks on iPad, because it's one where I kind of, as soon as iPad gaming became a thing a bit more, I was like, well, point and click games are literally made for iPad. Really. Like, you know, you're looking at stuff on the screen, you're pressing things, and then your character doesn't tend to be controlled by a gamepad. So like I always thought that they were a perfect melding. And then I just saw the artwork, like it's really dark and really distinctive, and I just went, yeah, okay, I'm gonna play the shit out of that.
Yeah, nice.
And then, yeah, my last one's a thing that I hope you guys are doing as well, but have obviously been watching the latest season of Rick and Morty.
Of course.
And have been very much enjoying it. Super dark, as always. And yeah, I think, you know, obviously I'm a sci-fi writer and grew up in, you know, loving and absorbing sci-fi. And I think Rick and Morty is possibly the best sci-fi show on TV at the moment. Which is not bad for a like 23-minute cartoon.
it's so pretty well done, yeah.
All right, let's move on into the news.
News.
Oh, Catherine, you did it!
It happened.
Woo!
It finally happened. I'm so excited right now. That's made my week. Thank you.
Can't believe we had to edit that in that time, though.
Did you?
No, I was saying, never mind. You missed the joke.
I didn't get the joke. Yeah, it's fine.
I'm going to start with news this week that should certainly fire Charles up.
I'm ready. I'm ready to be fired.
He's got an erection right now.
Well, just save it until I've given you the news, and then you can pump that boy full of blood.
Too late.
Lego has announced a new Lego set, and it is the biggest ever Lego set with 7,500 pieces. It is a Millennium Falcon.
It is the Millennium Falcon.
The ship that made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs.
So Dan, I was covering this like days before it was announced. Like I knew what was coming. It's an amazing thing. It's a stunning piece of art in Lego form. Will I get it? No. The answer is no.
It is around $800.
Yeah, for any that don't know what we're talking about, it's about $1,300 Australian. It's essentially a $7,500 piece giant Millennium Falcon Lego thingamajig, and it's kind of their artisan official line, if you will, collector's line, and it's just nothing like this has been done to this extent before, and it's amazing. And I've got friends that are getting it, so I will get my hands on one and play with one, and maybe even help put one together. So that will do me just fine.
You've put together,
you know what you should
was it a TIE fighter? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
No, you should turn up to the house, help them, like, yay, what a fun time, and steal about 50 pieces.
I actually
just steal one. Yeah. Just steal one piece.
So when the guy was mocking me and said like he'd let me help, I'm like, I'm going to put things in the wrong place in your Falcon, and he's like, no, you wouldn't. You wouldn't disrespect the Falcon like that. And he's probably right. I probably wouldn't.
Yeah. Okay.
But I've got my own Millennium Falcon. It's the Force Awakenings version. I'm just waiting.
Awakens.
I knew you couldn't
Force
help yourself.
Awakens. Well, because you got it wrong.
Wonderful. So yes, it is the Force. It's the Force Awakens set, and I think it was about maybe 3,000 pieces thereabout, or 1,300. Wow. Maybe it was only like 1,300. Either way, it's a child's toy in comparison to what's coming out, and yet I really like it. It's still pretty huge, and it sits on my shelf and looks pretty, so that's good enough.
The cool thing about this new one is it comes with
size doesn't really
the
matter.
crew from the Ridge Tridge and also the new movie.
It does indeed, Dan. It does indeed.
The Ridge Tridge.
And replaceable radar dish for both of the different versions.
Yeah, I like it.
Yep.
So if you want to get a YT-1300 freighter made of 7,500 Lego pieces, you're going to be a very happy chappy.
Yep. Catherine, what news you got?
So I've just got two little items. One was a recent announcement about the South Park sequel. So South Park, the Fractured Butthole game that's coming out pretty soon. And it was just announced.
Is it Fractured Butthole?
Yep, so it's Fractured, then B-U-T,
No,
then
don't even spell it. It's it's the Fractured Butthole.
Butthole?
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly
you got to pronounce it that way. Yep. Okay. Done.
I mean, it's the same. That's why it's funny. Anyway.
I don't get it.
Oh, Charles. Are you joking?
Were
Yes,
you allowed to watch South Park growing up, Charles? I assume you were.
I was never allowed to watch South Park.
What?
Yeah, so that's why I actually don't like South Park. The humor, I can get why it's clever, but it just doesn't do it for me. I'm not a toilet humor kind of guy because I wasn't brought up on it. So that's
see, like
the story.
the first season or two is that, and then it somehow became one of the sharpest political shows on TV.
It did, yeah. I can respect that.
Yeah, I mean, I completely get, like, if you miss the moment and then it's you're like, well, what do I do? Do I go back and binge like 16 seasons? No. Like,
I do remember
that
this
moment's past for me.
amazing episode where it was Kanye West and one of the kids had called Kim Kardashian like an ugly hobbit or whatever, and he turned up at the school to like defend her on it, and he's getting phone calls from her, and he's like, so that time you went off with Gandalf and all the dwarves and fought the dragon, and it's like, don't talk about that. It was really good. Okay, moving on.
Sure.
Anyway, maybe edit that bit out. So there was a recently announcement. So it's an RPG, and you have quests and adventures. I didn't play the last one, but I watched Josh play it, so I'm pretty familiar with the format of what they did the previous one. But the thing that I don't know if it has people up in arms, but certainly has got a lot of people talking about it, is that so you can choose your gender and your skin tone, and the skin tone is the difficulty slider. So the easy mode of the game is white, and then as you move your skin tone further and further towards dark, like the enemies will be harder, you'll get less money when you loot corpses, people will react to you differently, and people won't help you as much. It's obviously a pretty bold.
It's a controversial choice.
Well, just to clarify a detail, I'm pretty sure, at least all the stuff I read, I could be wrong, was that the enemies aren't more difficult, but the way people react to you, the rewards you get are smaller, but combat is still the same difficulty.
Combat's still the same.
So they're more making.
I thought I'd read combat would be different.
Who knows until it actually comes
I mean,
out.
definitely the money stuff, and I know, and so gender also has a difference. I think it's mostly with how people react to you.
Sure.
But so the reaction has mostly been, in terms of, from the liberal left wing, which obviously I belong to that end of the spectrum, it's been pretty positive.
I was about to say it'd have to be positive, wouldn't it? I mean, that's like, it's obviously a very controversial and bold choice, but one that actually highlights an issue realistically. I think it's fantastic.
It's very, very smart, and it's interesting. You can almost everything I've seen so far has been positive, but I'm sure there are negative think pieces. It may just not be ones that have come up in my sphere of kind of friends and people I follow on Facebook.
I'm sure there'll be some, because we've talked about outrage culture before. I'm sure there'll be some that even left-wing people that'll be like, no, this is making small of an issue that is real, and you shouldn't be making fun of it or something.
And I had the biggest accidental Facebook post seen this morning. So that whole outrage thing, someone decided that Secret Hitler, the board game, was an outrage because it was making, light of Hitler coming into power and all the terrible things he did, and how dare they make a game of it. And it accidentally got onto my Facebook, and I wasn't able to comment on it because it was someone else liking it or commenting on it, and I just wanted to rage at this ignorant asshole, and I couldn't, and I raged within myself. And that was
bottle
devastating.
it up. I think just bottle it up is probably the best way to go. Just push it right down. Push it right down and hold on to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
And then it'll
much
come out in
prefer-
weird Harry Potter based streams.
That's it. I much prefer my Facebook to be only of opinions that I agree with to circulate and
Star Wars news.
yeah,
So I'll-
correct.
So I'll wait for the defriending like straight after the podcast or
I've unfollowed you months ago.
Yeah. Wait, really?
All right, maybe
I would be so upset.
The Melbourne E-Bar opens tonight. That's exciting.
Yep,
Sports bar.
that was my fine. That was my second piece of
Well,
news.
I just saw it. I just saw it in the news, and it's actual news.
Yes, yeah, it is relevant current news. So yes, I believe we mentioned it. So anyway, that was the South Park thing. I think it's great. And then the eSports game bar in Melbourne opens tonight. So they've got a Twitter, which is if you want to follow them, it is GGEZ bar.
Catherine, come on, it's GGEZ.
Fine.
Because that's what you say to
I didn't
people
want to say
after you
it.
beat them in an esports competition.
you don't
you
say
say
it, you type
GGEZ.
Yeah, but she
Type
doesn't.
it, so
She
that
doesn't
doesn't
know
make any
that.
sense.
Doesn't know that, Darren.
Yeah,
She's not an
I don't
eSportser.
But yeah, I'm really excited to see what the vibe is. I kind of read.
Why are we
they
not
had a
there
little
tonight?
announcement
That feels like something we should be at.
because we're doing the podcast, like cool podcasters.
That's very
Also, it's
reasonable.
really cold.
It's so rainy
really
and disgusting out
cold,
there. Yeah, no one's going to be at this event.
Yeah. But yeah, there was an article basically saying that their priority is making sure it's a fun bar first, and that esports is obviously the focus. But I think they've learnt their lesson from a few gaming bars that came up, and they were great gaming places, but they weren't necessarily great bars. So I'm kind of hopeful that they'll hit a good balance and actually make some money and stay around for a while.
Yeah, from what I have read, it's very much just like, it's like a sports bar, but just on the screens are the esports, and they've got a license till 5 a.m. So it's a lot of those international competitions you'll be able to watch at 2 or 3 in the morning or something like that.
Yeah, clever.
Which I think works out. I don't think they need any of the extra fancy things, because I think in one of the quotes they said like, you don't go to a sports bar and play football. You go and watch it. So
yeah, and I really agree. I think that's a really smart way to do it, because if you had to have all the computers and the gaming set up and it's not very social, whereas really making it a spectator thing, like they're right, you don't expect you might play like a little game of pool or foosball or something, but you don't expect to go kick a soccer ball around a bar.
The important thing to find out would be like what kind of pub food they have, because that's gonna be make or break.
They have Korean chicken tacos at the very least, Korean fried chicken tacos. So I think it's good quality.
Fuck, why am I talking to you guys right now?
Yeah.
I should be at this thing. My flu would not stop me from eating Korean chicken tacos.
Now, I'm a big esports fan. I'm a fan of the E and the sports. What'll be interesting to see is which esports they sort of lean to, because I know a lot of them have problems with spectator modes aren't very... Because all these games are set up in different ways, like Overwatch and Counter-Strike and stuff are all sort of first-person shooters. How do you set up a spectator camera? Are those sports mature enough to have developed a good esports scene yet? And also, like, are we, as gamers, kind of insular? Like, I play this game, so I watch this esport, whereas I have no time of day for any other one. Whereas sports fans sometimes watch multiple sports. I don't know. I don't know what sports fans do.
I feel like gamers will be more like, they'll recognize that they can't only watch League all the time or something. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm being too hopeful, but I believe people have to be a little bit open-minded. Surely.
They will, yeah. So I'm looking at a picture of the place, and they've got multiple TV screens all around the place. So there'll be different games going on, and people, I guess, can pick and choose what they look at and what they think about. That's just like they do it at home. So very good.
Yeah,
I reckon they've got it now. It looks really sharp, actually. I think we should definitely hit it up.
Yeah, I think we should do a review.
Yeah,
we should.
I do see, I think an interview with one of the owners that was saying like one of the major concerns they have, or like one of the major concerns most bars have, is their liquor license and making sure they've got quality beer or whiskey on tap or whatever, whereas theirs was they needed a big fat fiber cable to provide high-speed internet so that they could live stream all of these different shows via Twitch or via YouTube Live or whatever in HD, whereas usually that would be provided through a cable channel.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah,
for a
gotcha.
regular bar. So, yeah, I'm all for it. I reckon we go there one time.
All right, decision made.
Done. Charles, I guess we should listen to your news.
Yeah,
Ugh.
my news. So it's about Star Wars.
I've already done a Star Wars news this week, so you're going to have to pick something
This one's really
else.
different. So this is actually about gaming Star Wars, not tabletop, not anything to do with
That's
tables.
the same thing.
So
Alright.
Force Friday just happened, which is the event where they announce all the new Star Wars toys that are coming out. So that's where the new big Millennium Falcon was announced. But one big thing they announced, which is really interesting, is the augmented reality game Jedi Challenges. You both would have
yes,
seen
I think I saw
that.
footage of that. Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially they've packaged their own, I guess, augmented reality visor with a game. So it's like the VR equivalent of those little handheld game systems you used to get that only had like one particular game
Like
on
a
them.
Game & Watch.
Yeah, and like so there was a Game Boy where you could take cartridges in and out, but there used to be little game handheld things that would only play one game. So it's kind of the VR version of that, I guess,
Yeah,
for
right.
$400 Australian dollars.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
And it's got a few games on it, but they're all Star Wars themed, like that Star Wars chess game, whatever it's called. And some kind of strategic game and lightsaber battles. What it actually looks like will be really interesting. I'm very dubious about the quality of what they'll bring, but it's putting VR and AR more into the mainstream, which is only a positive thing. And look,
Yeah.
it looks cool in theory.
And Star Wars will be a test for them, because they're all owned by the same corporate overlord now. It's like, if that does well, then there might be a Marvel one, and it's Star Wars is almost the safest property for them to do it with, but there would definitely be people quietly planning, like, well, if this does well, how do we do this across 20 things?
Yeah, this sci-fi technology, let's test it on the sci-fi nerds, and then when that's successful, we will try and promote a new version of Aladdin and a new version of Beauty and the Beast that's VR only before it goes back in the vault.
Yeah,
I actually saw the musical of Aladdin just a few nights ago. It was it was good.
I went and saw that as well. Did you?
Yeah.
How cool are the villains in that?
Yeah, the villains are great, and I mean, I don't remember a lot of the plot because Aladdin was shirtless for a lot of the time, so that's really distracting. But yeah, it was interesting because I obviously the live action films in the work, every single Disney film that hasn't already been adapted into live action, they have plans to. So it's kind of it's interesting to look at that story and be like, yeah, what would you do to make that a film?
Yeah, I guess
they're dominating everything.
And as a screenwriter,
and Guy Ritchie's directing, so that'll be Aladdin's like got to do a heist.
what do you think of the changes to from the Disney story we all know and love, where because in this one Aladdin has a bunch of friends, he's not a loner, and his friends have a bunch of music songs as well and
moments. Yeah, I mean, I think it was just putting it in line with that musical theatre tradition, really. Like I'm not hugely familiar with musical theatre, but like I've seen a few shows, but it just felt like you need chorus numbers and you need various things, and I'm like, yeah, that makes perfect sense as an adaptation. Like what works as a film doesn't always work as a musical and vice versa. So
all right,
you have to change something.
All right.
Sorry. Yeah.
They did not come here to listen about musicals.
Fine.
No one cares about your musicals, Catherine. Let's talk about Bastion.